Welcome everybody. Here we are finally heading into the first game of the night. It is technically game 2. I am the Doctor, being joined by none other than Compete League's Primus. And tonight, we kind of have a game ready for you. It is going to be 2 teams from Ascension eSports' Dragon League, random numbers generators, versus... Oh god.
Cosmic Riders.
Versus the Cosmic Riders, and there is Primus with the catch. How you doing tonight, Primus?
I'm finally ready to get some cast going. Like this has put Composite to shame with that pause. Like, let's be honest here, man. We weren't even in game and we were paused. That's how bad it got tonight, boys.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot going on for us tonight. Cosmic Riders did actually FF Game 1 due to technical difficulties. So unfortunate just all over the map there. But here we are heading into Champ Select. We see bans flying out. Zillion, Warwick, Swain, Graves, Nautilus. Kind of all over the place there.
I would definitely agree. For the side of random number generator, which I believe is on the blue side this game. A lot of target bans coming in. Swain, Warwick, Zillion, none of those are real picks right now in the meta. While when we look over at the red side, for the side of Cosmic Riders, all of those bans are meta bans. None of those are very pocket picky. There are still quite a few strong picks on the table. Camille's still on the table, Rengar's on the table, Kha'Zix is on the table, Varus is on the table, Jhin is on the table, and even the Blanc's on the table. But the trusty tree,
yeah,
I won't talk about the tree yet, because I can talk ad nauseum about this.
Yeah, and we finally...
We're gonna wait, and I'm gonna talk about it later.
Yeah, I mean, Maokai, we see him a lot. We know what he does. We know what he's there for. We're seeing a Draven hover. I don't believe it's going to get locked in. Draven's one of those super niche, you only pick if you know you win that lane kind of deal. So,
or if you're Freeze.
Yeah, but that was Freeze. He won the lane anyway. That's what I just said.
But the thing about Maokai right now, I don't think he's the strongest blind pick tank anymore. Like, Nautilus is the strongest push tank right now on the table with the changes to Maokai's sapling toss, as well as the increasing mana cost on his arcane smash, make it significantly more difficult for him to stay in lane. And I honestly feel like the Poppy and the Shen are the 2 better tanks to pick. Yes, Maokai does have the best team fight ability out of those 3. However, just the fact that he just struggles so heavily in lane, especially since Rumble's on the table. Like, with the changes, like, Maokai cannot do anything to Rumble anymore. Like, the thing about Maokai, you used to be able to just kind of survive. You'd get your Spectre's Cowl, your Spirit Visage, and you just kind of laugh at the Rumble as he tries to kill you. As we are seeing Hecarim and Nami come in. Nami, I'm not a big fan of his first rotation. Hecarim, I'm definitely a big fan of. A great jungle pick in this bracket of play. Lots of easy CC. You can't really miss a skill shotless champion.
Yeah, Nami, I actually like the Nami pick. It kind of, I feel, prevents the Jhin in a way, which is something that we've just seen so much of with the lethality changes. And I'm wondering if RNG kind of doesn't feel comfortable having that Jhin since they go with the Caitlyn. Caitlyn doesn't have to just turret herself down to use her ultimate in the same way Jhin does. Obviously, you know, she still does. It's a completely different situation. So when you have that Nami, I feel like it does kind of shove that pick out a little bit.
However, Varus was still on the table, and I honestly feel like Varus is a lot stronger than Jhin right now.
Oh,
so
definitely.
Going with the Caitlyn pick, I still think that Jin's the better pick in terms of the meta. However, in this bracket of play, when you're comfortable on a pick, that is far more important than playing the strong meta picks. The Karma into the Nami, the issue with Karma into Nami is Karma doesn't have any sustain. So Nami trades very effectively into the Karma, as we are seeing Poppy and MF come in for the side of Cosmic Riders. So that bottom lane, on paper, I actually say heavily favors the side of Cosmic Riders, assuming equal skill, of course.
I do agree with you. I'm having trouble remembering if the Misfortune changes are on the PBE or if they did end up going live. I'm pretty sure they're on PBE. But that in mind, this could be the last patch we actually see Misfortune. They just absolutely gutted her on the PBE, with zero chance of redemption, really. But looking at that lane, it's a heavy poke lane. It's a pretty heavy sustain lane. It is going to put a lot of pressure on Caitlyn Karma, but I think it is ultimately going to come down to who actually hits that lane first. Both sides can clear very effectively at level 1, and they want to push for that level 2 because they just get such a huge power spike there.
Well, we are seeing the Lee Sin and the Corki come in for the side of Random Number Generator. I'm always wary of Lee Sin in the elo. Like you either get a passable Lee Sin, like I will never use the term great Lee Sin in this bracket of play. I will say passable Lee Sin to good Lee Sin for this level of play, but you won't see the high level mechanical plays that we're used to seeing from the Lee Sin players in LCS and high level streams. Corki, I don't think Corki is as strong right now on the current patch with the changes to his ultimate. That is a huge damage hit to him, and it makes it a lot more difficult for him to stay safe and clear early. I mean, yes, he still is very safe. He has the escape. He has a lot of poke. He's still a strong pick. I just don't think he's as good of a blind pick. However, with Orianna on the table, there's not too many other options they have to blind pack, as we are seeing the bird is the word, boys. We have Anivia on the Rift.
So, I mean, you mentioned that you talked about the Lee Sin. You know, you feel that the players at this elo don't quite have the skill to back up what's required there as effectively as some others. But when you look at the mid lane state, you know, you can talk about the Corki. If you look at current LCS meta picks, it's almost the same thing. You have Cassiopeia, super high skill level. Ryze, high enough skill level that I feel it's almost on par with the Ryze. We see Syndra, who is super pub stompy, but if you fall behind, then you're behind. So while Corki might not be in the best position right now, I find him fun to play and also just super useful. The Shred, plus there's just enough mix of damage coming in from this RNG team comp that I feel like he fits in very well. That being said, I think he's really going to struggle post 6 against the Anivia.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the same level of wave clear, especially with the changes to his missile barrage, to his phosphorus bomb. He just doesn't have that same ability to clear waves, where Anivia with blue buff literally presses ultimate and Q and the wave disappears.
Yeah, and I mean, I had someone talking to me the other day about how nerfed Anivia was, how much like she's just so useless. And having played her more recently than I feel like a lot of people, she still does everything she needs to. She does everything as effectively as she used to. Yeah, it might feel that, you know, the expanding ultimate is meh, but if you just get that quick proc on, like if you just proc into your ice spike onto Corki, he's not going to be having a good time. And if you can get that early enough, even with the Q into the frostbite, it's a lot of damage Corki doesn't have an answer for at that situation, especially with the stun lands. And having that Hecarim to back him up, I think Anivia's going to have a super easy lane. I think that if you're Gamma Chaos right now, you focus the mid lane. I think your other lanes are passable, and this mid lane is the focal point.
I would definitely agree with you on that. However, he can look to make plays bot lane. He has the Nami to set up for him to get into the range onto Caitlyn and Karma. However, it is still a Caitlyn Karma lane. Although any range support with Caitlyn's pretty hard to gank just inherently, just because it's Caitlyn. She has her 90 caliber net. She has such a long range. She can stay out of range of most gank opportunities. Karma providing the shield, providing the root, plus the additional slow. Just a very safe lane. I do favor the top, as you said, the mid lane. I feel on paper, assuming equal skill, should favor the Anivia. Top lane, I favor the Poppy in that matchup now with the changes to Maokai, just because it's so much harder for Maokai to shove the Poppy in. It's much more of a stable lane, and Poppy, assuming she goes grass, I feel like grass is a lot better, especially into these tank matchups, than Courage of the Colossus, especially with the 1v1 nerfs to Courage of the Colossus. Because, yeah, yes, the teamfight shields are very nice, but when you're in a tank matchup, if you can get ahead in lane, you can spy a lot of time for your team to get their penetration items to deal with the enemy tank.
Yeah. The Poppy in general, you say that it'll win the lane in the long run. It's going to come in super clutch with the Steadfast Presence, just looking at this RNG team. Lee Sin, Resonating Strike, Corki Valkyrie, Caitlyn, 90 caliber net. All of those just get stopped by that. So once Poppy gets tanky enough to get in there every single time, it's going to start causing problems for pretty much everybody. So as we head into the loading screen here, I want to get your take on who do you think is going to come out ahead, who do you think is going to win the early game, and then who do you think is going to win just the game overall?
So for early game, I favor the team with the Lee Sin pick, just because Lee Sin, stronger early game jungler than Hecarim. Hecarim does have gank potential early, so it's not something to be underestimated. Especially, but with this level of play, I'm not entirely sure how effective Funky Twinkie's going to be on that Lee Sin and getting those early ganks off. As we approach mid game, it starts to swing. Hecarim, one of the strongest mid game junglers, with that Sheen, with that Triforce. You have the Anivia starting to get her mana sustain items. You have MF who I'm assuming is going to be going lethality build. Something not to be underestimated, she builds Black Cleaver very easily, and that will make Maokai not have a fun time. So there is a lot of damage potential in this mid game for the side of Cosmic Riders, which I give them a massive advantage, assuming laning phase goes even between the two teams. And in the late game, it's so hit and miss, because the issue about the side for Cosmic Riders is there's so much damage locked up in the bullet time that if they can't get a good bullet time off, I have to give most late game team fights over to the side of random number generator, just because MF doesn't really have significant damage outside of her ultimate in the late game. But I still want to say the game will end up going in the favor of Cosmic Riders. That's my gut feeling on that. I also think the Anivia scaling is just going to be so massive, because everyone has to be in range of Anivia to do damage.
Very true. And I mean, I kind of agree with you. I do think it's 100% on Cosmic to lose this game. They just have to not follow behind early. But that being said, I definitely want to get the chat's opinion. There's enough people in chat that if you don't post hashtag RNG win or hashtag CR win, then you're really doing your friends a disservice. Let's see it in chat. Who you guys think is going to win? Let's get those kappas going. Come on, guys.
Yeah, come on. We gotta show our respect here going on, as we are getting into the loading screen. We are going to see the new Anivia skin. I'm very excited. Are you very excited for the new Anivia skin?
I actually love this skin. I'm super excited to see all the animations that they added to it, which are just super interesting for the skin. And I'm excited for this level 1 action. I never get level 1 action, and it always makes me super sad on the casts. So once this invade goes down, I hope it ends horribly for RNG. I want to see this bird get going.
I mean, there are
Hupalicious checks it with the inner flame. Just so much gold right off the bat. 24 gold.
GG, well played.
G
Gold lead gold lead at 1 minute.
Gold lead OP. So they could have gone a bit faster than that if they just gone in instead of hanging out waiting for someone to push them. I think it would have been a good kill, especially with the Nami bubble. But that being said, we do see the teams fall back. They're going to leash for their jungler. And so now, we've talked about a couple things going on. What do you think is the lane to really watch this time, other than Funky Twinkie dying in the jungle?
I would have to say the mid lane's the lane to watch. Bot lane should be very back and forth and poke centric. However, in a poke war, it is going to favor the side of Cosmic Riders. Just because they do have the sustain, and on the other side, RNG doesn't really have the sustain. But this mid lane's going to be the crux point. Because yes, while I have said the Corki doesn't really have the same level of damage as he used to, if he gets ahead, he has so much burst damage still, with the big one, with the Foss Bomb, with the Sheen procs alternating in between there. There's just a lot of damage still available to the Corki if he can get ahead. While conversely, if the Anivia gets her mana items very early and can get off to a good start, it doesn't look very good for the side of RNG, because there's not a lot that can stop the Anivia outside of the Maokai.
So now, you talked about the mana items. How greedy do you think this Anivia goes? Do you think we see tier Roa into...
I just want to see tier, because I'm not a fan of going tier Roa, just because the issue with that build is if you fall behind at any point in that time period, it's so much more difficult, which is why I prefer
Gank coming in. Good steadfast presence, though. Super, super ahead of game there. Gonna deny Funky getting in there.
Anyway, continuing what I was saying, is I prefer either just going full Roa into Morellos or going tier into Morellos. I still feel like getting the Morellos is extremely good here, especially against the Maokai, against the Lee Sin. Caitlyn's going to be getting... Ooh, shield.
Good wall. There's the spike. First blood over to Piston Wish. Directed camera did go a bit skew there, but we got it right back just in time for the kill.
Yeah, just very well played from Piston Switch. Got the nice... I believe it's Flash Frost is the Q.
So, I believe you're right. We do see tons of damage being traded in here. Flash forced out of Pocket Cookies. I'm dyslexic. Not gonna quite pop his just yet. But good trade down there. Definitely in favor of RNG, though.
Yeah, trading a summoner for no summoner, always very good. However, I don't know if the heal was necessary.
It was close. It was definitely borderline close. I mean, even after the heal, Pocket Cookies was only sitting on maybe 200 HP.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where better safe than sorry. However, it is something that can get exploited just because of the fact you do still have the Nami support, so you're not really going to be burning a lot of HP pots just to get back up.
Not only that, I mean, Pocket Cookies did go the Longsword 3-pot start.
Getting those early lethality, I'm assuming we're going to see an early Ghost Blade. What I'm encouraged to see is whether he's going to go Black Cleaver second or if he's going to go into Edge of Night. I would prefer Black Cleaver just because it gives you a lot more teamfight potential, while getting the early Edge of Night is much more of a laning focused item. While Black Cleaver, if you can get that, it helps your team out so much with that AoE shred from the bullet time.
Yeah, and so we saw the first blood going over to... Hold on a second. Piston Watch was able to get that first blood. Funky Twinkie's kind of caught. Should be fine, though. KDR taking tons of damage, though. If he steps on a trap, he's dead. Funky Twinkie could even take this kill by himself. The flash exhaust coming out. Twinkie's forced to flash as well. And meanwhile, the noodle fight in the top lane is going heavily in Limelight's favor.
Yeah, the Poppy with the changes to Maokai has such a harder time trading effectively with any of the tanks, especially Poppy, who has percent HP damage. Because the reason why Maokai was able to get through this laning phase into the Poppy was because he had far superior wave push. But with the changes to the sapling toss where it only does damage on the explosion and not when it lands, it makes it so much more difficult for him to actually push against the Poppy. And the Poppy can get so many easy procs off with the Hammer Shock, with the Heroic Charge. It makes it so much easier for her to dominate this lane. Albeit it is still a tank versus tank matchup. No one should ever die in this lane.
That being said, I, for one, welcome back our Poppy Overlords. Since I've been perma-banning Varus in solo queue, it means that I can just pick Poppy and win. So, definitely liking that change a bit.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain. I mean, I had 95 games on Poppy last season, albeit like 50 of them were Poppy support at the start of last season.
You're literally everything I hate in a League player. My Jhin just cries on the inside because I know that I have no response to that pick.
You hope you can get to the point where you have 50% crit and you can 4-shot Poppy every time. That's about all you can hope for.
Yeah, and then you just get tanky and I die. So, Piston Wish, wanting to stop the dragon, should be able to do that. Forces the jungler out, and this should be a Drake abortion coming up here. There should not continue this. Shield. Funky Twinky's going to get a good Dragon Rage in there, but will he survive? The answer is yes.
Funky Twinkie is certainly living life on the edge today.
The good news is that there's no expiration date on Twinkies, so there really isn't an edge that's too sharp for him.
I mean, if you listen to Family Guy, it's the only thing that'll survive a nuclear holocaust. So
Well, and roaches, which we don't have a roach champion yet, so there's still hope.
yes, indeed, my good sir, indeed. With the early Mountain Drake on the table, I honestly feel that RNG need to get this dragon. They have very heavy siege ADCs in Corki and Caitlyn. They need to get this Mountain Drake as soon as possible and deny it from the side of Cosmic Riders, just because if they don't get these early Mountain Drakes, it makes it so much more difficult because they have a lot less options as the game goes on. Because Corki not really doing a lot of auto attack damage. It's mostly poke damage with the rockets, with the Foss Bomb. And Caitlyn has that mid-game dip, but if you can get that bonus turret damage, you have the ability to just rotate around your 280 carries across the map.
Yeah, I mean, my Caitlyn, I always find doesn't quite have the best early game. I feel you can mitigate it by a little bit by picking up an early Zeal. Big bullet time coming out onto Hupalicious, forces the flash even. Super bold there, but Dyslexic should be picking up a kill. Has level 6, can ace in the hole. Do it! Do it! There it is! And it's blocked. But nice try anyway. Ow! Pocket Cookie, what are you doing to the poor man?
He has children! He has children! Why are you being so mean to him?
And that is what they're nerfing on Misfortune on the PvE, and I, for one, cannot wait for that to come through.
I'm crying a little on the inside because MF's one of my most played ADCs. So
You're just...
This is why we just don't play League together. Because we just don't.
Just a clash of ideologies is what we have. So we're seeing a fair amount of map movement coming in from the Lee Sin at the very least, farming quite a bit, actually farming ahead of the Hecarim. However, I feel like that might be due to Krugs. It's close.
Yeah, it's the jungle farm is so misleading right now unless there's a massive difference. Just because it just kind of depends on how many times you've cleared the top side of your jungle. That's where most of this jungle CS is located. So unless it's like getting to 10 to 15 CS, like I say it's not a huge deal in the jungle, just because the small Krugs and the small Raptors, they're not worth a lot of gold. I believe they're just 10 gold each, regardless of when you're clearing them. So,
the mini Krugs are 10. I'm not sure on the Raptors. I believe it's also
the
10.
mini Raptors are 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, definitely, unless you have like a 30 CS lead, it's really not the biggest differential. The one that is pretty impactful is this one in the mid lane. I mean, we saw the Poppy get first blood. Is that what's really making the difference here, or is it that Poppy, or not Poppy, the Corki Anivia matchup that we were talking about earlier?
It's multifaceted. Because Anivia does have better wave
Oh,
clear.
big damage coming into KDR. The bullet time should just about not finish Funky Twinkie off. Gamma Chaos gonna get kicked back, and that should be the end of that gank. But Summoner's being blown for Funky Twinkie, barely surviving with his life.
Living on the edge. That's kind of what that survives to me, but very well played on the side of brain fart.
Cosmic Riders?
Number generating.
Ah, there we go.
Just avoiding losing an extra member, because as I said, they really want to get this early Mountain Drake in. If they lose someone, that can spell a very easy dragon take for the side of Cosmic Riders. Going back to the mid lane, I feel like it's coupled with the early first blood, as well as the trying to process while talking, not very working very well.
Just the inherent wave clear advantage that is on the Anivia.
Wave clear that Anivia has, because Corki doesn't have instant wave clear. He requires multiple spell rotations of getting his Frost Bomb and multiple rockets out in order to wave clear quickly, while Anivia only has to use her Glacial Storm, followed up on top of a Flash Frost, and possibly using a Frostbite to very easily clear the wave.
Yeah, and so we do see Funky Twinkie coming in the top lane. Steadfast Presence gets popped. It's not going to be enough. Limelight should be going down for first blood, but he has so many shields. Twinkie, please! There's the kick. Funky Twinkie picking up a kill, and that actually wasn't first blood. First blood was on Corki about 10 minutes ago. And that seemed like a reasonable gank to maybe not die to. The item builds that we're seeing come out from these top laners, they're not quite what I'm used to. I mean, do you agree? Do you think that maybe there's some changes that they think are gonna be coming in more handy in these lanes?
In my personal opinion, playing both sides of this matchup, as Maokai, you should still be rushing Sunfire Cape, getting the early Bomby Cinder, getting the Chain Vest, unless you're against a very, very heavy AP team, which you're really not against, so there's really no reason to deviate anything other than going the early Sunfire Cape. The issue with going a Roa build is your scaling. You have very little mid-game health, which is where a lot of these games are decided right now. While on Poppy, I feel like all you really need to do, get your early Spectre's Cowl, and then immediately go into your Sunfire Cape. There's not quite as much of a demand on you to get the early Sunfire, just because Maokai doesn't quite have the same level of wave pressure. So the build path you can go is you can go Spectre's Cowl into Bami's Cinder, and then finish your Spirit Visage. But, I mean, especially into basically it's just Maokai and Corki AP, getting the early Sunfire Cape I feel like is a slightly better choice. You're gonna finish both regardless, but going the early Spirit Visage, it just kind of depends whether you want more trading potential in lane with the extra CDR.
Big Sudden Hopalicious gonna force the flash out. The tidal wave is too far. Big bubble onto Dyslexic though. That was pretty clutch.
Yeah, very, very well-timed bubble on the side of KDR. He's kind of struggled a little bit in this lane, a little bit more than I would have anticipated. Been needing a lot of traps, a lot of inner flames, but did come up with a very nice bubble play right there.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate that the rest of his team was a bit farther back and wasn't able to do there. Good stunt onto Shieldy, should be taken super low. Forces the flash, actually.
I feel like that's a safe call. You're already behind in this lane. Better to just give up the flash and try to be able to stay in this lane.
Kick comes in onto Pocket Cookies, the ace in the hole as well. Bubble comes in, not enough damage on Cookie's side. We'll be going down to Dyslexic. What more can they get out of it? Dragon is available.
I feel like they have to go for Dragon here on the side of RNG. Try to get this early Mountain Drake to allow them to rotate around the map, start getting these early turrets down. That way they can try to get a gold lead going into the mid game.
They are going to get caught out, but the jungler for Gamma Chaos is actually on the exact opposite side of the map, so it should be a pretty free Dragon.
Yeah, without the jungler there, there's not real, a steal potential. Without the jungle available. Something I quickly want to discuss is Gamma Chaos's build. A lot of the junglers I've been seeing play Hecarim sit on the Talisman, get the Hurley's Hunter's Potion, and then go straight into Trinity Force. Generally, the build I'll see Hunter's Talisman into Hunter's Potion into Mana Crystal, so that way on your first back, and then look to get Sheen on your second back and try to get that early level 6 as fast as possible. Go for a much more farm route. I don't know why Poppy has 2 long swords. There's no item you should be building on Poppy that would require you to build long swords.
The only 2 I can really think of.
Because it's not Black Cleaver, because Black Cleaver changed.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only 2 I can really think of would be Titanic Hydra or Ma, but like you were talking about earlier, there's not enough magic damage to really necessitate a Ma, and you have more than enough wave clear than needed for a Titanic Hydra.
Yeah, there's no reason for you to have a Titanic Hydra in this game, but
and we're starting to notice in this matchup, Royk's at basically half HP at all times. Every time he steps forward, gets caught up a bit by Limelight Kiwi. And there's just so much damage being put onto him that this lane's almost ready for forfeit.
Yeah, it's, as I said, like Maokai without the wave push.
Oh, flash twisted advance is in. Kiwi gets knocked back, forced to flash, and the resonating strike actually timed out. There's the second one. Thunder Lords is barely enough, but the kill should be getting traded back. Royk taken super low, still alive though. What is he going? Not enough. Gotta go down. Gamma Chaos will not survive though. And Rift Herald decided he needed his time in the light as well and announces he's going back to the Void. But 2 kills going over to RNG. All of them on the Lee Sin even.
Yeah, which is a bit concerning. You only have 1 kill on your carry right now, and that's onto the Caitlyn. The rest all up to your Lee Sin, who's going straight tank after Warriors. So that is quite concerning.
He'll be certainly tanky. He'll be Lee Sin tanky. That's cool, right?
Yeah, about that.
However, this is the second.
Lee Sin, like once you hit like 25 minutes. You're basically stuck into one of 2 options. Either you're a peel bot with your ultimate, or you go full AD and try to assassinate a squishy.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Nami, you have the Misfortune, you have the Anivia, all reasonably squishy targets compared to the rest of the team. Shield taking so much damage, barely gonna survive. But Piston Wish should be able to get out just fine. Forced to flash anyway, but not the end of the world if you're Anivia right now.
I think he could have saved the flash. Gamma Chaos was in position to back him up. They did have the TP available from Limelight Kiwi as well. However, if you're not trusting the team to back you up, the flash always just a safe bet. You only get 1 life, even though Anivia technically gets 2, but...
And it's League of Legends, you do respawn, usually in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, but you never get the life back you lost, though.
It's infinite lives. How many do you need? But Limelight Kiwi goes a bit of the wrong way, dives under tower, knocks up the Lee Sin. Piston Wish doing what he can. Twinkie's getting tanky, though. As you said, Limelight gets caught up by the Twisted Advanced. Is there enough damage to kill the tanks, though? Shields jumps in. Gamma Chaos says, not today. But Roik is super tanky right now. Gamma Chaos bit off more than he can chew. He goes down. What more can come in? Steadfast Presence and a great Anivia Wald blocks off and separates the team. Roik, tanky enough, he's not going to go down just yet. Dyslexic also sidestepping a bubble. There's just action all over the map right now.
They just want to have you have as much fun as possible, considering we did not have a game 1, so they're trying to make up for it right now.
There's still 4 games. It's a best of 5.
Potentially 3 more games.
Very true. And so now this is where we're seeing a bit of the wave clear issue on Nami Misfortune. And I talked about both sides having a bit of wave push pressure. We see the Runan's rush coming in from Dyslexic, and it's working out very effectively. The damage on the towers is super one-sided right now.
Yeah, just Pocket Cookies isn't able to keep up with the push advantage. That's kind of the issue with the MF, which is why we don't see her as much.
TP coming in, canceled out by Roik, though. But there's a second TP! Nobody expects the second TP. Roik's also TPing in, cancels it before Limelight Kiwi can. He did that on purpose. He said, no, you're not doing it today.
It's a much shorter cooldown if you cancel it as opposed to when it's interrupted.
Well, yeah, but I was making a joke saying that he canceled it to BM Limelight, and then you ruined it by explaining it. God, Primus.
I'm a horrible person. This is why I don't get to sit at the cool kids table at the cool kids party.
Compete League's just sitting there like, yeah, take them. We don't want them anymore.
It's like, we don't want you here anymore. Get away from us.
So Twinkie's coming in. This is tons of damage. Ace in the hole comes in, but Piston's Wish making himself known. Red turret goes down. Double bubble coming in clutch. Funky Twinkie taking super low. This should be a 3 for 0. 1, 2, 3. Double kill and a shutdown for Gamma Chaos. Just in time for the second Earth Drake.
It's like this was all planned. But it is going to even up the the Mountain Drake Gold. As well as possibly the second turret. We had first turret traded in the mid lane, so tower advantage is going to go over to the side of Cosmic Riders. We're sitting at about 2,500 gold lead right now. Limelight Kiwi still just abusing Roik in the top lane right now. I feel bad for Roik, and then I realized, wait, I'm a Poppy main. I'm not supposed to feel bad for people who are playing into Poppy.
Yeah, and you know, we had just mentioned how much of a heavy push advantage RNG had in that bot lane. One spectacular gank later, they no longer have a tower, and you know, there's a hair left on Cosmic Rider's tower there.
Just don't breathe on that tower. It might fall at any moment.
Yeah, and I mean, this is normally when we would see the teams put their bottom lane in the mid lane, take that tower. However, it's not there. There's no tower to take. What I would really like to see is Cosmic throw their bottom lane actually in the top lane. You know, Limelight's doing what he can to abuse the Maokai, but the tower pressure's not quite there on Poppy right now.
Yeah, Poppy can't ever approach due to Sunfire Cape, so she can't ever sit and auto the tower. We are seeing Pocket Cookies and Gamma Chaos rotate to this top lane. So it looks like they are going to try to execute a turret trade here, bot tower, which was basically already gone for top tier 1. However, they could it's very unlikely because of the Anivia there, but both teams are trying to pressure tier 2s inside lanes.
KDR is playing super dangerous game, gonna get knocked up. Great tidal wave, kick is not enough. The knockup from Poppy actually cancels out, well, not cancels out, but negates the bullet time. 1 for 1 though, and I'm actually not quite sure how KDR died there.
Red buff?
tower, actually. The kick was just barely into tower range, and so that's a sacrifice that will not be missed. But it is a tier 2 going down in favor of Cosmic.
Yeah, they tried to trade for the tier 2 in bot lane, but Anivia things, you know.
Hashtag just Anivia things. And you talked about how you didn't want to see a tier Roa build. Guess what? We have a tier Roa build. Roa is fully stacked. Tier is super close to being fully stacked, and just huge 2-man stuns coming in from Piston every time. But
Like,
Limelight, you're no mana, friend. What are you doing? Just completely locked up. The Anivia ultimate is just running and running, though. Steadfast Presence will be the last use of that mana pool, and it's just enough to get him out.
He's a Poppy. Even without mana, she's really tanky at this point. But anyway, the only reason why I'm not a fan of the tier Roa build is if you get punished while you're still stacking those mana items, because you have no CDR, you have very limited raw damage, it's just base ability damage, which yes, Anivia has a lot, but if you get punished while the stack period is still going, you can get so heavily far behind, because while yes, you do have the insurance because you do have a bunch of wave stacking, but if you
big stun, double bubble from KDR, double knockup from Limelight. There's people being freighted all over the place. Bullet time just now coming in, not landing onto anybody. Limelight's going to pick up the first kill of the fight. Roik now stuck behind enemy lines. Got my Chaos, plays the keyboard on his face, also going to go down. Limelight should be able to get a big stun in here, lands it onto Funky, but there's no more follow-up from the team. Damage is being traded back from the Corki, though. These rockets are doing something.
I mean, he does have his pen boots, which does make up for the nerf damage a little bit.
And Funky Twinkie just caught on the wrong side of the festival wall.
Hey, that looks like Albus Knox.
He was just invited to the wrong party this time. That's all that was. Dyslexic getting stunned up, knocked up, damage everywhere, will be going down. Limelight picks that up for himself. KDR is trying to get into his as well, but will be traded out.
It's all worth in the end. You got an inhibitor tower. Only losing your support. I would call that hashtag worth in my opinion.
They lost the tower.
And that top lane tower is basically dead anyway.
So now that we just saw a super long team fight, that was like a 3-minute long team fight once everybody kept going in and out. And so now we see an 11-7 scoreline, 5.5K gold lead in favor of Cosmic Riders. What is left for RNG? What's their saving grace right now?
They have Corki, Caitlyn, Wave Clear. That's about all I got. I mean, Caitlyn, Corki, Wave Clear.
Do they not also have the Caitlyn late game eventually?
You're gonna need about another 15 minutes before that's relevant. Although, because Poppy's going Titanic Hydra third item, she's gonna be significantly less tanky.
So much more wave clear, though. Hey, think about that one. Damage, wave clear, everything a young aspiring Poppy's looking for.
Is Iceborne Gauntlet on Poppy. You do not need any other damage item. Anyone who tells you otherwise, unless they are going full Assassin Poppy, which I don't recommend anyone to try. I tried it in air. It was not a good time for myself.
I want to see a full AP Assassin Poppy. Let's go. Let's do it. Big team fight comes out. Bullet time onto 3. Just about takes down Huppalicious. Is going to eat the onslaught of fear. Gamma Chaos picks up that kill on the end. He's still 1v2ing in the backline. He's tanking off with just his Trinity Force. Jumps back in. Piston picks up one for himself. Roik's doing what he can. KDR is just frontlining on the fish. Big stun onto Dyslexic. Double kill for Piston Wish. Can he get more? Knock up onto Roik. Saves him because it throws him over the wall. But Piston wants more. Oh, great Twisted Advance dodges out the stun. Piston's taking tons of damage. Another stun. Limelight picks up his second of the fight. What more? They got the inhibitor. Do they want to end? They have time.
They have time, and it's only Corky up. But
Karma's alive
still,
now.
Yeah. It is still risky, was what I was going to say, though.
So
Just take the extra Earth Dragon back, rebuy items, get everything stocked up, rotate for Baron. You have double Mountain. You blow that Baron up, then group bot or top. Either one's fine. I prefer going bot lane just because it's the low-hanging fruit, as we do see a massive minion wave stacking against the tier 2 4 Cosmic Raiders right now. Get that going in the proper direction, back, go to Baron, get vision control, burn the Baron. If they come and fight, turn, kill them, win the game.
So this is actually when the double TP comp can come in clutch. Throw Poppy bottom lane, Anivia push the top lane, and then Gamma Chaos, Photo Cookies, and KDR just hang out in the Baron pit and just dare RNG to do anything, really, because if they go bot, Baron. If they go top, kill them. If they go Baron, kill them. And
if they try to push mid, kill them.
Yeah, I mean, it just opens up the field at that point, and that's where this double TP, this is the time to utilize it. Don't have the Poppy and Nivea with your team. Just don't force anything when they're not there.
Yeah, just buy time, get your deep wards down, get positions for I like Kiwi can get into the backline, because with this mostly finished Titanic Hydra, he does a
Gamma
bunch of
Chaos actually going in all by himself. 3 members knocked up by the tidal wave. Kick onto Cookies, but it's too late. Gamma Chaos picks up one, going for his second. Dyslexic just doesn't have an answer. Double kill for him. What more can he do? Twinkie's on the run, forced to flash. Roik is now the sacrificial lamb in a sense, but it's only sacrificial if you die. So, joke's on Cosmic Riders? Maybe? No, he died. Alright, Piston Wish picking up that one on himself. Huppalicious getting jumped on. And Kiwi surviving. Huppalicious steps just too far forward. Double kill going to Piston.
So, I just want to say that we actually have a support MF in this game. It's not an actual MF ID carry, it's a support MF.
With less, it's a support MF with less assists than the Nami.
Yep.
However, Nami did not redemption her team for the Baron, so X9 report and move on to the next one.
Okay, I feel bad, but like this game is pretty grim. They've got the Baron, Anivia's 4 items. You've got almost 4 items onto your hacker. You've got 3 items on your Poppy. The Titanic Hydra's still making me cringe right now. You've got a 3-item Misfortune, and you have 2 items. You're down a full item in almost every roll. Though there is a Mikhail's onto Karma, so there is a 0.5% chance of hope. 0.5%, guys.
I had seen a QSS on, was pretty sure Caitlyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, she actually used it and then sold it, it seems. But
I guess he wanted Giant Slayer and Vamp Scepter more?
We'll go with that. So Blast Cone is gonna be Funky Twinkie's only way out if this goes poorly for him. Safeguards over to the Caitlyn. And Duskbringer being picked up by Pocket Cookies. We don't even see the prophesized Black Cleaver that you were so hot for. And now it's getting do or die time for RNG. This tower is Freelo, but instantly popped on the Corki. Gamma Chaos goes deep. More bullet time being sprayed everywhere. Rogue's going to cancel that up, but he's in a 1v5 right now. He's only a poor tree. Meanwhile, Pistons 1v2ing the backline. Gets a double kill, gets a not triple. Limelight picks that up for himself. Ace going over to Cosmic Riders. Super Minions in the mid lane. That is game 2. Going to Cosmic Riders. Over. So it's actually 1-1. The series is 1-1 right now.
Hey, what's the old adage? It's not a series until both teams win a game. Though I do want to say, I do not believe Piston Switch ever went into egg form.
No, you're right. Yeah, never once. There was that one scary time in the mid lane. He decided to flash instead. That being said, great play coming out of the Cosmic Riders. They were 1-0 down. They managed to put on a show, take that win in a pretty commanding fashion. So now, as we prepare for game 2, what do you expect to be the changes coming in?
I expect Fish and Switch to not get a Nivea.
Yeah, the Anivia was definitely a bit of a problem. 10-0-5, picking up 3 kills right at the end there. Almost guaranteed to be banned away.
Also, the first pick, Maokai, turned out to be very questionable. I know Rourke doesn't really have a champion pool, but I still feel like there are other things you could have prioritized over the Maokai. Funky Twinkie had a couple really nice plays in the early game, was 3-0-1. Ended the game 4-5 or 4-6, so kind of did, stereotypical lead things, did good early game, feed and int late game,
So I would like to see RNG pick up more of a meta jungler. I mean, we did see Graves banned this game. If that gets banned out again, I would like to see a Rek'Sai, a Kha'Zix, Rengar, all pretty. Vi would actually be huge. Vi would have actually pretty much canceled out most of their comp, very similarly to the Lee Sin, just in a more effective manner. But that being said, guys, we are going to take a short break while the team's set up for Game 3. They're going to talk to their coaches. They're going to reset. So stay tuned for that, guys. We will be right back. So stay tuned for that once again. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and love you.